Bing, bang, boom. Hello, everyone. Ooh. Looks like we're missing a little... Let me just pull this up. There we go. Howdy, everyone. Oh, shit. I forgot to get the cards ready. The cards will tell. Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it? Did everyone enjoy the anti-psychonaut stream last winter? Last week? There was... I like Nick, the Occult Rejects guy. Had a good fun hangout with Colin as well. Yeah, we just got some time mixed up and it was like, doing it on which day? It's when you have like 3 different guys or 3 different time zones, it's always like pain. Which is why, like, you know, I'm doing that. We're doing that another fun stream tomorrow, another hermetic circle stream. We're gonna have Jordan, Dave, but I'm like, man, 3 different time zones suck to organize. Ugh. Anyway, let me just shuffle up our deck. Hopefully the sound is all good. Y'all can hear. And let's draw out... Oh my god. The card for the day. Okay, let's just say that one was the card. Okay. This is the card. This card fell out and landed on my pants. This is what fate has decided, and you must use your remote viewing skills. To try and suss out what it's gonna be. Now, let's say hello to chat. Necrodancer, holy, holy, holy. Another guy saying, read Sky Pride. Was that the one you were telling me about before? Because it was like Blood and Fur, and then it was another one, and I looked it up, and I was like, not completed. Really, there's all these things that are cool, but I'm like, I love a good light novel, but I hate waiting week to week. You know, I did that for, what is it, friggin' Beginning After the End. That's right, that's what it is. Haven't caught up to that. I just don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. Just give me something completed that I can consume and will be good. So I'm waiting for Shadow Slave to finish. Tell me when it's finished and I'll start reading. Howdy, Ruben. Out tuition, saying tomorrow's stream is going to be fire. I hope so. Hope we work it out. And I organized that because I also want to try simul streaming, because StreamYard has this function where, like, I've organized it, but I'm pretty sure there's a button that Dave and Jord can, like, press, and it simul streams onto their channels as well, like I did with Occult Rejects. Like, that anti-psychonaut stream was on Occult Rejects, and I simuled to my channel as well. Stream already dying? What? What? Actually, I do have a little bit of a... Oh no, it is dropping. Why is it dropping? Oh my god. Well, it's coming back. I seem to be getting some... I seem to be dropping every now and then. It's stable at... I don't know what the kbps is, but it's like when it's at 2,000 to 3,000, it's like green. But then it'll like go red for a couple of seconds. And I'm like, oh. Anyway. Adamu. Howdy, Adamu. Bobby Bob, welcome. Bobby's guessing the Empress as well. First guess. And then we got Van Kier guessing 17, 18, 19. I mean, you can guess one, bro. But those are good guesses. Those are good guesses. Buyer's Market. Hierophant. Okay. Okay. Necrodancer the Cups. What did I tell you all about guessing Minor Arcana? Empress. Outtuition's guessing Empress as well. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the incompleted one. Read Blood and Fur, then Trust. Thank you. 5 of Cups. I'm gonna kill everyone who says a Minor Arcana. Another guy guessing the Devil. Okay. At least it's a Major Arcana. You, Jordan, Dave, are my triangulation of occult knowledge in this space. Oh, really? Okay. Well, we're all gonna touch PPs tomorrow. Speaking of novels, I enjoyed Mother of Learning. It's done. Oh, you know, I've heard about that. That's good. That's a 10 out of 10, you'd say, Adam? I'll look into it. Andrew Corrigan, good morning. Andrew. Mother of Learning is pretty good. Ended up dropping. Don't remember why. I mean, you dropped Koi, and I read that, so I'll probably love it. Still got to finish Koi, another guy. Just skip volume 6. Nothing. You can literally skip the fucking Dream volume. and then it's still peak. It's still peak. Now, I remember this. I remember this. It's been 2 weeks now. We're talking about the body and its symbolism, right, guys? So we had a handy time. But now we're gonna jump right into it. 5 minutes in. And I'm just gonna pick up here, okay? And we'll just keep diving. We'll keep going. While generally regarded as polytheists, the pagans gained this reputation not because they worshipped more than one god, but rather because they personified the attributes of this god. Yeah, so this is an interesting distinction. Having a single god with multiple personifications is different from having multiple gods. And that's one thing that's a little bit of a funky-dunky. Because, I mean, Christianity is like that. You have a one god, but the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are different personifications. So, or can you even class it that way? Is that technically scholasticism? I'm actually... Shut up, Christian boy. Shut up. But it's like, you know, if I have a cross on my wall, no one's going to mistake it and be like, oh, you're literally worshipping that thing, that idol. That cross is your god. It's like, no, that cross is a sign that points towards a god. And that's what the different images are in a pantheistic, not polytheistic model. What's this chapter about again, Richard? Hey, Kimberly! Yes, and we have Carl up there, hanging out as always, guiding us like the North Star. Oh wait, just a second, Outtuition talking about, although Dave's tism is maxed to the level, that's frankly impressive. I'm not insulting him at all, impressed at how he contains all his knowledge. Yes, he's got the tism, but he knows how to rism. Well, now what's the chapter about? The chapter is about how the body is the symbol of God. Because I think it's like, you know, we have this symbol here with the saints. Where do we go? There's the heart there. Yeah, that's right. Human body in symbolism. Symbolism. See if we start talking about the Jews. Because the Jews have an interesting thing where their god is embodied or described, or there are seemingly sects that describe the body of God, and so there's a lot of anti-that, where you cannot describe the body of God, and then there's all these weird esoteric Jewish texts where they talk about the length of God's beard being this many cubits and things like that. Apparently God has tattoos, it's weird. But yeah, personified. The attributes of this god, thereby creating a pantheon of posterior deities, each manifesting a part of what the one god manifested as a whole. The various pantheons of ancient religions therefore actually represent the catalogue and personified attributes of deity. In this respect, they correspond to the hierarchies of the Hebrew Kabbalists, and this is actually where some people have a bit of a distinction with angels also in Christianity, because there's this whole thing, do humans become angels? Can humans become angels? Because there's this whole thing about you can kind of divinize yourself and you become angel-like. And I mean, some also, in forms of mysticism, you actually do, like in Swedenborg, you just go full angel. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Climb the ladder of being, you become an angel. Whereas in some Christian metaphysics, it's, no, angels are manifestations of God. Like, they're literally primordial. It's just like an extension of God. So you don't become an angel. Angels are just beings. And then, well, they're just aspect of being. And then you can become angel-like, but you're not an angel per se. And so there's this divide, and then some say kind of both. You just have different categories. Like there's this, you know, angels, and then there's things that you become, and you can kind of call them angels, but nonetheless. What's happening, Lady Justice? Howdy, lady. Also, Hexer Vexer. Hey, I caught my favorite esoteric meme lord again. Oh, thanks, man. Unless you're a girl, then thanks, gal. Now, Hebrew Kabbalists mentioned. Let's see what happens. Just become an aspect of God yourself, bro. Exactly. Or maybe we become God. Or maybe God is merely an image which we must transform ourselves into instead of worshipping. Maybe that was the true work all along. Aren't we all God according to the Hermetic maxim? No. I mean, all is divine. But would you call... I mean... What's the difference between pantheism and panentheism, dog? Because there's a difference between saying everything is God and God is in everything. Because one denies that things have separate individuality, separate being. Like, your individuality is just an illusion. Whereas the other thing says, no, no, no. Individual being is an ontological category, is real. But within you is still God. There's a universal substance or substrate that everything is derived out of. One says the hierarchy is an illusion, the other says, no, the hierarchy is real. But God isn't the thing at the top of the hierarchy. The hierarchy is made out of God. That's the kind of the difference we're going with. You know what I'm saying? Did that make sense, guys? I'll make a video about it one day. Ariman, hello Richard and chat, I missed you guys. Hi, are you Voices in the Wilderness? I hate it how YouTube changed this up. I just see you guys ats, I don't see you guys the original screen names anymore. Unless you're Enoch, then you become Metatron. Yeah, exactly, Book of Enoch, let's go. Let's go. And that's the highest one as well. Metatron is literally the voice of God. There is no part of me that is not of the gods, out of the Gnostic Mass. I mean, yes. That's also as... But I mean, you could also read that as kind of like nature. The intelligent... Nature is a bunch of forces that are endowed with intelligence. And so, of course, because every bit of you is also a part of nature, so... But is there something transcendent that's not just nature? If you boil it all down and you break it all apart and you categorize each bit, is there something transcendent which cannot be caught? That cannot be analyzed? That cannot be reduced? Animism, basically. So animism is what it's called, like, is a metaphysic framework, but panpsychism is what it's called if you want to be a philosophical wanker. And so that's where we're really at, bruh. Now, stop distracting me, guys. Hebrew Kabbalists mentioned, all gods and goddesses of antiquity have consequently their analogies in the human body, as have also the elements, planets, and constellations, which were assigned as proper vehicles of these celestials. 4 body centers are assigned to the elements, the 7 vital organs to the planets, the 12 principal parts and members to the zodiac, the invisible parts of man's divine nature to various supramundane deities, while the hidden god was declared to manifest through the marrow in the bones. Hello. Hold on a second. Yo, what? 4 body centers are assigned to the elements. What are the 4 body centers? Is that supposed to be like head, chest, trunk, and then the limbs? And the limbs is just one category? Or what are we going with? And then he says 7 vital organs. That makes sense. 12 principal parts. The 12 parts are the zodiacal parts. But then the invisible part is the marrow. So this is important, though. Guys, when you like read something in a text and then you see it all across the other side of the world in another text in a completely different culture, there's something distinct there. The marrow of the bones is big. The marrow of the bones is big. Because this is something talked about in Taoism and in Western alchemy. You get to the marrow, you become immortal. The hidden god is manifest in your marrow. Not in your breath, not in your blood, not in the deep heart. Oh, heart. I walk the path of the heart, man. You're too intellectual, man. Guess what? You gotta get down into the marrow. Stop being a bee. Stop being a sissy boy. Your emotions are just as illusory as thoughts. There's something deeper, there's something more real. Bone and then blood, exactly. You think blood is sacred? What's the source of the blood? Yeah, that's right, that's what I thought. Get down, deeper than the spleen. The spleen is where it's digested. Well, I think it's old blood is recycled. But the marrow, that's the source. Always found it a bit weird how people associate gods and other forces or parts of the body to be on TBH. I mean, Mercury got a thought in the brain. Aphrodite in the boobies. It's not that... Really? Endgame of Taoism is the marrow. So, it's not the end game, but it's like that's where you reach. You're wearing clothes right now. Are you always conscious? Like, you know, you feel your shirt on your body, but you're not always conscious of that, of the tactile feel of it. So your brain filters out the somatic response most of the day because you're busy doing other stuff. But if you sit, you can kind of feel all of your clothes on your body. Your pants, and you can kind of separate it. Oh, I have underwear on it as well as pants, or maybe you don't. I'm not wearing pants, but it's like you can go deeper than that, and you can feel your skin. You can feel your skin. Can you feel underneath your skin? Sometimes if you sit and you like pay attention long enough, you can kind of feel like in your hand, you can kind of feel your heartbeat, but like in your hand. You can feel the blood pulse throughout your body. But can you go deeper than that? Because this is the thing. People talk about chakras, people talk about energies, but then you go put your attention on the fucking your left rib cage 4 bones down. Can you feel that bone? If it takes you a second, you're like, not really. And you kind of got to put your consciousness into your body. Sometimes you can't feel certain muscles because you don't work them out or things like that. And it's like, if you can't put your attention, your consciousness into your body, move those parts of your body or even feel those parts of your body. Like, can you feel your heartbeat? I know if you do a run, you run down the street and back, you're going to feel your heartbeat. But if you just sit there normally and passively try to feel it, like, it's quite difficult. Most people can't feel it unless you breathe in and you hold your breath and you really try to focus. You don't actually hear the heartbeat or feel it even. Can you feel all of those things? The whole principle is your consciousness needs to penetrate into your flesh. And if it reaches the bone marrow, the world opens up and you can get to the ether. You can get to the energies, because this is the thing. Beyond that is the chakras. Beyond that is energy work. Nowadays, people are like, oh, energy work. Oh, I work with chakras, and they can't even do the most basic, put your consciousness in different parts of your body. This is one of my big contentions. And it's like, and you see this as a practice also in a lot of different schools, even in like crappy Rosicrucian schools, like Amorc has it, like Franz Barden has it, putting your consciousness into your body. And it's like, people see that and they do it for 5 minutes and they're like, okay, cool, what's next? And it's like, no, that's the base practice. And this is what people don't get about depth and, oh, I want the deep teachings. It's not that there aren't deep teachings, but it's like a lot of the secrets are actually unveiled by taking the most basic practices and drilling them until it's like they're in you. They're in you. Like you master it. Like, you know, you master push-ups before going on to something else. It's like just the basic exercise of getting your consciousness and putting it into your body and moving it through your body. To a deep degree, actually, something opens up. You gain, on the more extreme end, what happens is you gain a type of synesthesia. Synesthesia is something that's kind of a medical condition where different senses bleed into each other. So you hear a sound, but it smells a certain way. Or you look and something smells bad and then you look and the smell has a color to it. It's like your different senses bleed over into each other. If you do that enough, if you put your conscious apperception into your body enough, your visual representation and your somatic feeling cross over. You gain a kind of an autosynesthesia. Your consciousness extends and it's not that you're seeing into your body. It's not that the light of Christ goes into you. Oh, light, enlightenment. It's literally that your seeing faculty awakens. It crosses over with your feeling faculty. And you gain a visual representation of the inside of your body. And if you get that, if that awakens in you, you can work with chakras and you can work with energies. Before that, I actually don't believe any of the yoga people, all of the people, New Age people who talk about working with chakras, they don't. They don't. I guarantee you that maybe there's some external stimulus where it's an external thing coming from the outside in. I'm using this bowl, this music bowl to like hit and vibrates the chakras, but that's an external thing going in. Consciously going in and working with the energies, working with the chakras is something actually very rare. It's very, very rare. And so, my boys, most people who even like feel certain somatic things, like, but I feel my chakras, you know, I do like this mantra and I feel the vibrations. Like, yeah, you're putting a load of energy onto your nervous system and it's vibrating. You're feeling it in your nerves. But putting a load on your nervous system is very different from Kundalini. It's very different from working with the energies. And so it's this thing of like, this is big. Sorry, so I went off on a huge rant there, but you have to understand, that one line there just made me rock hard, and I'm trying to explain to you why it did. I can feel electrical pulses within me from my head down to my spine, sometimes especially when exercising. Based. Finally caught one live. Mardev Devisa. Welcome. Also Street Shaman, welcome. It is difficult for many to realize that they are actual universes, that their physical bodies are visible nature through the structure of which countless waves of evolving life are unfolding their latent potentialities. Yet through man's physical body, not only are a mineral, a plant, and an animal kingdom evolving, but also unknown classifications and divisions of invisible spiritual life. Just as cells are infinitesimal units in the structure of man, so man is an infinitesimal unit in the structure of the universe. A theology based upon the knowledge and appreciation of these relationships is as profoundly just as it is profoundly true. As man's physical body has 5 distinct and important extremities, 2 legs and 2 arms, and a head, of which the last governs the first 4, the number 5 has been accepted as the symbol of man. So this is why sometimes the Hierophant, card number 5 in the Tarot, is seen as like a symbol of initiation sometimes. By its 4 corners, the pyramid symbolizes the arms and legs. Interesting. And by its apex, the head, thus indicating that one rational power controls 4 irrational corners. The hands and feet are used to represent the 4 elements, of which the 2 feet are earth and water. Yep, okay. So this is in elemental magic. They have the lesser elements and lower elements, so earth and water are lesser. Air and fire are seen as superior. Sometimes in alchemy they talk about the water and earth elements are used in the minor path, and then the fire and air are used in the major mysteries or something like that, but... And the 2 hands, fire and air. The brain symbolizes the sacred 5th element, the ether. Sometimes it's the sex, sometimes it's you transmute the sex into the brain, and that's what initiation is, which controls and unites the other 4. If the feet pits are located together and the armpits are outspread, man then symbolizes the cross with rational intellect as the head or upper limb. Some horny Japanese guy needs to make like all of these alchemical symbols again, but with anime girls. It's just a missing opportunity. Wasted opportunity. The fingers and toes also have special significance. The toes represent the 10 commandments, or the 10 Sephiroth, of the physical. And the 5 fingers, the 10 commandments of the spiritual. Okay, I see what you're going with. The 4 fingers of each hand represent the 4 elements, and the 3 phalanges of each finger represent the divisions of the element. What? So that in each hand there are 12 parts to the fingers, which are analogous to the signs of the zodiac based, whereas the 2 phalanges and the base of each thumb signify the threefold deity. So man and his symbolism, baby, let's go. Don't tempt me, I'm an artist with free will. Based. The first phalange corresponds to the creative aspect, the second to the preservative aspect, and the base to the generative aspect. And destructive aspect. Wait, what? So creative and generative. Creative and generative are different things in this idea. This is interesting because sometimes you see this as well in like Kabbalah, where to be creative, Chokmah, is masculine, whereas Binah is more restriction in form, which is feminine, but that actually leads to generation, which is interesting. When the hands are brought together, the result is the 24 elders and 6 days of creation. The 24 elders, that's so interesting, because there's this whole thing, that's from Revelations, right? But Eliphas Levi also has this thing about the 24 elders of the Zodiac. And that also gets absorbed into some esoteric stuff to do with astrotheurgy. One day I'll put that course together. Another guy says, I can more or less feel things when I concentrate and focus my consciousness on parts of my body and move it. It feels like a wave of heat moving. Guess it could just be placebo effect. I mean, look, I'm not going to knock the basic energy stuff as well. You got to start somewhere. Because what I also like described there with like going deep into the marrow and like consciously, phenomenologically seeing the energies, that's also really like big. You can kind of work with stuff before then, but there's special ways to. I'm just cynical because like after all these years of like meeting people and like stuff like that, I'm just like 99% of the time I'm just like, they will cringe, and they didn't understand they will cringe. But yeah, actually, like I like to contradict myself, because once again, there's more than one ways to skin a cat. And I mean, there is stuff like in Qigong, they're not going to wait until you can perfectly see the energies for you to work with them. They have ways to work with the energies before that, so. Another guy, try to enter the mental space and focus on something, not you. You might have a knack for remote viewing. Yeah. In symbolism, the body is divided vertically into halves. The right half, divided vertically. The right half being considered as light and the left half as darkness. Darkness! By those unacquainted with the true meaning of light and darkness, the light half was denominated spiritual and the left half material. Light is the symbol of objectivity, darkness of subjectivity. Light is manifestation of life, and is therefore posterior to life. That which is anterior to light is darkness, in which the light exists temporarily, but darkness permanently. As life precedes light, its only symbol is darkness, and darkness is considered as the veil which must eternally conceal the true nature of abstract and undifferentiated being. Could you stop skinning cats, Richard? No. The skinning of cats will continue until we have all reached the absolute. Now this is interesting. This kind of bit here kind of reminds me of Franz Barton with the electric and magnetic fluid, and like him putting it to like one half of the body, but then in the halves of the body you can still kind of break it down, and it's like, oh Jesus. Pardon me. In ancient times, men fought with their right arms and defended the vital centers with their left arms, on which was carried the protecting shield. The right half of the body was regarded therefore as offensive, the left half as defensive. For this reason, also the right side of the body was considered masculine and the left side feminine. Several authorities are of opinion that the present prevalent right-handedness of the race is the outgrowth of the custom of holding the left hand in restraint for defensive purposes. Furthermore, as the source of being is in the primal darkness which preceded light, so the spiritual nature of man is in the dark part of his being, for the heart is on the left side. Among the curious misconceptions arising from the false practice of associating darkness with evil is one by which several early nations used the right hand for all constructive labors and the left hand for only those purposes termed unclean and unfit for the sight of the gods. For the same reason, black magic was often referred to as the left-hand path, and heaven was said to be upon the right and hell upon the left. Some philosophers further declared that there were two methods of writing, one from left to right, which considered the exoteric method, the other from right to left, which was considered esoteric. Yeah, there actually is this whole thing of like reading texts backwards, like to gain hidden meaning, or even like in Hebrew Kabbalah schools, because they do from right to left, but there's like one where you like scatter the lines, you zigzag, and that like reveals the true Kabbalistic meaning of a text and things like that. Like I'm not, I know I'm already autistic, but it's like it's a schizo rabbit hole where I'm like, this is gonna like waste so much time. So I've kind of like held back from it, but I know it exists. Hey, Bill PR, welcome. The exoteric writings was that which was done out or away from the heart, while the esoteric writing was that which, like ancient Hebrew, was written towards the heart. Very interesting. That's a great description of it as well. It's like right to left, you're going away from your heart, and then they're like coming in, yeah. Or left to right, sorry. Left to right, and right to left. Sorry, that looks a little weird if I do it like that. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. The secret doctrine declares that every part of the member of the body is epitomized in the brain, and in turn that all that is the brain is epitomized in the heart. So this is a big Manly P. Hole thing. But pardon me. But also you do get this in esoteric Christianity. I think in Jakob Boehm's kind of shtick. There's this thing of like changing the lights. And it's like this thing of there's energy in the heart and there's energy in the brain, and you get them to like switch and exchange, almost like alchemy. But yes. But Manly P. Hole is, you know, learn to feel with the brain and think with the heart. He's got some big stuff on that in a lot of his lectures. This was kind of his path, which unfortunately he may never have attained, but alas. Been rereading the Castaneda books, says Mardev. Just recalled that death is always on your left. Forgot what Julian said about right versus left-handedness. Huh. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff in the Castaneda books for sure. He had his whole kind of path of the heart thing as well. What were the enemies? The first enemy is fear, and you beat fear with clarity, and then the next enemy is clarity because it makes you think you're always right. But if you're able to get past the next enemy, then it's like you've defeated clarity. Then it's like you're truly strong, and you truly kind of withstand things, and you can truly, you know the way you're an upright man, you're a strong man, like of strength of character, really. And then the third enemy is strength. And you have to not fall to that one. And then finally, the last enemy is death. The one enemy that you like can never truly defeat. And he has that. Then he goes on like talking about the dance with death. Is that the second book? Or is that like he goes off on a tangent in the first one? Because the first and the second, there's like a lot of... It's a lot of his crazy weird drug experiences, but there is some good stuff in there. And then in the third one, he's just like, let me recap and include some stories that I didn't include originally. But that bit, I'm pretty sure, was from one of the first ones. The four enemies on the path of the heart. And he includes death in there as well, doesn't he? Can't remember. It's been a while. In symbolism, first and second are mostly about plants. See, they say that, but my impression of the... Because in the second one, he meets the guardian of the threshold and he goes through all these things. My impression of them, it wasn't actually all about plants. It was more about it's him looking for plants. But it's Don Juan kind of like leading him through these weird experiences. And the phenomenology of the experiences, and he does pull out philosophy in them. They are intriguing. They are worth reading. It's not just, he's just taking drugs in the first and second. It's like, nah. Now, there was good stuff in the first and second. Especially the second one. Anyway, in symbolism, the human head is frequently used to represent intelligence and self-knowledge. As the human body, in its entirety, is the most perfect known product of the Earth's evolution, it was employed to represent divinity, the highest appreciable state or condition. Artists attempting to portray divinity often show only a hand emerging from an impenetrable cloud. The heavenly hand. The cloud signifies the unknowable, divinity concealed from man by human limitation, based. The hand signifies the divine activity, the only part of God which is cognizable to the lower senses. It's very interesting, because I remember St. Teresa of Avila would have like visions of the Christ, but she was like, I'm not holy enough to see his entire body, so she would have visions of the Christ and be like, I saw the Christ, it was just his hands. I just saw his hands, the most beautiful hands. And it's like, how do you know it was the Christ? It's like, I just knew. The face consists of a natural trinity. The eyes representing spiritual power-based Cyclops. Just laser vision, let's go. A typical book vocabulary of a German existentialist. Which comprehends the nostrils. So eyes represent spiritual power, which comprehends the nostrils, the prospective and vivifying power. Okay, the mouth and ears representing the material demiurgic power of the lower world. Really? Okay. The first sphere is externally existent and is creative. The second sphere pertains to the mystery of the creative breach. And the third sphere, by the word of God, the material universe was fabricated, and the 7 creative powers, or vowel sounds, which had been brought into existence by the speaking of the word, became the 7 Elohim, or deities, by whomst power and ministration the lower world was organized. Occasionally the deity is symbolized by an eye, an ear, or a nose, or a mouth. So just one thing. But first divine awareness is signified by the second divine interest, by the third divine vitality, and the fourth divine command. I don't know, usually I think it's just the hand, or it's an eye. Or a hand with an eye. Oh my god. You see, the Master Hand from Super Smash Bros. Is really a very potent Western archetype for God. That's right. That's right, liberals. Nintendo's masterpiece was tricking you into esotericism all along. The hand actually represents God's mouse cursor, based. Adamu says, yeah, and we are his RTS units, based. Mardev says, his eagle eating your consciousness upon death reminds me of one of the videos on Gurdjieff, based. Something about developing another body to offer to the eagle instead of being obliterated. Yes. Yes, exactly. Hand covered in eyes with wings, dude. Yes, that also. I agree, Outtuition. Been going through your catalog since. Appreciate your work, Richard. Thanks, Mardev. Bill PR says, the flying hand that crushes one person every day. Yeah, that's a funny green text as well. That's what it's reminding me of. And now we've got some pics from the old Gurchel book. So everyone who wants to talk about Western chakras, but no one wants to talk about Gurchel. So Gurchel was a student of Jakob Boehm, and his work isn't translated in English, but cheat code. Everyone who's got Evola's Introduction to Magic series, the second book, the second volume, the Red Book, there is a commentary, I think it's the second essay, where the guy actually, because Gertschel's thing, this thing here is actually really short. And so he actually goes through these plates and breaks down the chakras. So if you want to like, oh, you know, I can't speak German, it's not translated into English, just, Evola's got you covered, bro. Evola. You know, Real G. Introduction to Magic, Volume 2. Ah, what's the chapter called? I forget what it's called. It's literally like the first or second chakra in like the first part. So the first and second chapter in the first part. He literally goes through Gertschel's Theosopher Practica. And he talks about this shtick. This one here, this last one, the fourth plate, is the most interesting. I mean, actually the first and the last, because there's this whole kind of thing with the sex and what it's kind of doing, and the mist going up the back, and here it's at the front, and you have the shining. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. But anyway, Johann Georg Gertschel, a profound philosopher mystic, the most illumined of the disciples of Jakob Bohm, strictly circulated the above diagrams among a small group of devoted friends and students. Gertschel republished the writings of Bohm, illustrating them with numerous remarkable figures. So did Gertschel actually do most of the illustrations of Bohm? That's interesting. According to Gertschel, the diagram above represent the anatomy of the divine or inner man, and graphically set forth its condition during its human, infernal, and divine states. The plates in the William Law edition of Bohm's work are based apparently upon Gertschel's diagram, which they follow in all essentials. Gertschel gives no detailed description of his figures, and the lettering on the original diagrams here, translated out of German, is the only clue to the interpretation of the charts. So yeah, for real, go check out the Evola Introduction to Magic 2. What a G. And the G stands for German. The two end figures represent the obverse and reverse of the same diagram and are termed Table 3. They are designed to show the condition of the whole man as to all his three essential parts. And that's something that's not usually done in the yoga manuals. Spirit, soul, and body in his regenerated state, because usually they just show you the front. The third figure, from the left, is called the second table, and the set forth the condition of man in his old, lapsed, and corrupted state, without any respect to or consideration of his renewing by regeneration. The third figure, however, does not correspond with the first table of William Law. The first table presumably represents the condition of humanity before the fall, but the Gertschel plate pertains to the third, or regenerated state of mankind. William Law thus describes the purpose of the diagrams and the symbols upon them. Just a second. Let me just finish this. These three tables are designed to represent man in his different threefold state. The first, before his fall. So that's the perfect man before the fall. In purity, dominion, and glory. The second, after his fall. So, whoopsie daisy, I've fallen into matter. In pollution and perdition. And the third, rising from the fall, on his way to regeneration, sanctity, and tendency. Like, this place is icky. Let's get out of here, boys. The student of Orientalism will immediately recognize in the symbols upon the figures the Hindu chakras, or centers of spiritual force, the various motions and aspects which reveal the conditions of the disciple's internal divine nature. So what's interesting about this is it is like the chakras, but it's also very different. In the chakras, they go from base to top. In this system, the initiation actually starts from the heart, and the heart regulates this infernal process, and or the process of the mist going up. So it's like the Kundalini is actually in... It's not even the Kundalini, it's like Sophia in the heart, then regulates the process of the engine kind of thing going on. It's almost like a halfway between, like, I don't know, Taoism. It's almost like Taoism is a halfway between like the Taoist Qigong is a halfway between like Hindu yoga Kundalini and like Western alchemy. It's this like halfway thing, very interesting. Lady Justice asks, do you have a top 10 reading list, Rich? Or is now not the time? So yeah, that's I find this hard. I used to be like, yes, and I would like rattle it off. But now I feel a little bit different about this, because it's like, where are you at? Because the top 10 books that helped me when I was beginning, I wouldn't really recommend anymore. But then it's like different people are at different stages. And some people, if you're an absolute beginner, like, if you have grit to read through Meditations on the Tarot and Beelzebub's Tales, that would be amazing. But I know for a fact that if I encountered those books when I first began, there's no way I would have gotten through them. But through working my way through more basic literature and like building up my own practice and kind of, you know, then encountering those works, I was able to get through them. And it's like, if your first book is Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson, ouch. But if you just like, I've played Dark Souls, I'm not going to be defeated, and you like just get on that grind set and read the entire thing and really like study it, yeah, that's great. But are you going to do that? So it's one of these things. Like, are you an absolute beginner, or no, I've read some beginner stuff, can I have some more intermediate stuff? And it's like, no, I want some advanced. Give me the hard stuff. Like, yeah, I've read my way through Dion Fortune, I've read some Barden, give me some more hard stuff. Like, okay, then it's definitely Meditations on the Tarot, definitely read some Beelzebub's Tales. But if you're more intermediate, and then there's also the other thing, because it's also like, there is also a division between theory and practice. And this is something that, like, a lot of people get wrong. Because most people have the notion that it's like, you don't want to be too intellectual. You don't want to fall too much into theory. And just, you be the intellectual who theorizes everything and you never do practice. Yep, that happens. That definitely happens. But there's the other side of that. And that's the person that focuses so much on practice that they have no idea where they're going and they hit a wall. And so there's this weird thing where it's like, because that's where I came from. There's this weird division between the map and the engine. And it's like, you don't understand how important theory is until you've like worked in a school or in a group of people that were obsessed with building an engine, and I will only do practice. You must just be practical and everything unfolds if you're just practical. And it's like, no. If you have an engine and no map, you're facing towards a wall, you will just grind into that wall and not get anywhere. So it's like, I kind of do feel like there's an interesting balance between map and engine. And some people really resent that. Like, I could recommend a bunch of books, like Evola's, like say, like Evola, what's the difference between Evola and Gurdjieff? Evola is all map. He's very secretive about his engine. He's pretty much all map, but that's almost like what makes him good. And then, but Gurdjieff is kind of, he's a half. I mean, in his books, it's, and in fourth way literature, it's more map, but if you get into a fourth way school, he's got, and you get the engine, he's got both, kind of. He's got both going. But some places will just teach engine. Will just be like, just do this meditation practice and this, and then it's like, and you can kind of see that no one has gotten anywhere in the last 10 years. And so it's like, I almost feel like just recommending authors over books nowadays. Like, you know, Franz Barden, read some Ouspensky, Dion Fortune, Eliphas Levi. And Dion Fortune's another interesting one. All of her books on magic are all theory. But she has a ton of practices. They're all in her novels. And so in her school, it was like you read her theoretical books, and then when you read her novels, it's a different kind of literature. It sticks in your mind differently. You pull out the practice there. And so it's interesting with her, she has theory and practice. She puts her engine in the novels, and she lays out her map in her theoretical works. So it's just so, and some people, and this is really interesting because some people are like, I've only read Dion Fortune's novels, and then you'll meet other people who are like, oh, I read all of her books. She's just a theory person, and it's like, I read Beelzebub's Tales during college, had to put it down decades ago. It was existentially devastating. Also found out very recently that my paperback only has the third book. Oh, what? Bruh. Can the practice-only person not rely on his intuition? Yes. And you know what will happen? His intuition will lead him to things that are less practical. If the practice-only person has intuition, what will happen is they'll start to read literature. They'll start to read fairy tales. And when they read something in fairy tales, they'll go, huh, and there'll be a weird fairy tale where, like, there'll be a woman who blesses a passing stranger because she helped, her wagon was stuck and he helped her out, and so she blesses him by getting 7 different flowers and filling the flowers with water and dousing it on his head, and he'll like be like, hold on a second, 7 flowers, a female figure stuck, and there'll be something alchemical in the fairy tale, and because he's done so much practice in his alchemy, the theoretical aspect of this fairy tale will just unfold practical knowledge on him. This is what will happen. If you're practice only, something in you will be screaming to read something other than practical manuals, and you'll inevitably go to theory. You will literally start reading philosophy, world literature, and fairy tales, world mythology. That's what happens, another guy. And if you only read theory, what happens? If you only read theory, you either become delusional because you mistake the map for the terrain, and internalizing the map like makes you go weird, or something burning inside you will go like, no, I'll need more, and you just leave and you'll go somewhere that has an engine. And it's different, and this is the thing that's crushing as well. It may be different for all types of people. As in, was it buyer's market? 1/3 reading, 2/3 practice? Not necessarily. There's like a dictatum of the alchemist that's something like pray, read, and work. It's like they have like 10 reads before you work. And not only that, but what happens before you start reading? There's the pray, there's correct orientation, and then you do all this study, and then finally you work. It's like, what? Whereas other people, it's like they're 2 in their head, they maybe need to do practice. And maybe they need to do physical practice as well. Whereas some people, they have their physical body, like, you know, they've done their looks maxing, they've done their gym work, and then they became a philosophy bro, and they read all of Stoicism, but through that, something just clicked, and then they got into some more esoteric things, and actually they need something more theoretical, they need something more passive, and something more introspective. It becomes very different. Hyperborean Knowledge says, I'm waiting for Richard's book. Fucking weeping. I'm in 2 minds about writing a book, because part of me is like, no, there are so many books that are just good that people don't read anymore. And I'm like signposting, like, please, everyone, just read these books. And everyone's like, bro, you should write a book. And I'm like, you don't understand. All of these books are so much better than anything I could ever write. Anyway, that's just my own imposter syndrome. Our tuition says, I see far too many people disregarding or rather overvaluating the engine. Yes, that was my experience. The engine maxing will get you further faster, but like you said, there will be a wall. They can't find their way around. Exactly. And some people, it's like, I don't know what's wrong with them. They hit a wall, and then it's like, I feel like there's groups of people that hit a wall, and via like a cosmic joke, someone hits the wall so hard that the wall breaks every now and then, and everyone's like, see, he did it, and they just hit their head against the wall for years. And it's just like, oh, disregarding the map here. Bro, you need the map and you need an engine. Anyway, so I just went off there for a second. I think like 3 good authors, like Steiner, Gurdjieff, and Evola, but they are not intro authors by any means. That's why I'm like, look, a lot of people come to the work through Crowley, and I would say, if you read Dion Fortune and Franz Barden, there is nothing in there's nothing in Crowley that either Dion Fortune or Franz Barden didn't already say better. Like, no offense, yeah, sorry, fellow mites, but like, Barden is ultra practical, and then Dion Fortune has got a great set of theory, and then you can supplement extra stuff with her novels. Adamu says, Wall, this disciple is unfamiliar. Master must mean bottleneck. Look, sometimes, young master, you must understand, sometimes cultivation stagnates for years, and you have to realize that it is not the fault of the teacher. It is the fault of the disciple and his weary ways. Disciples nowadays, they don't know how to cultivate. All they do is spend time in tavern and chase jade beauties. And argue amongst themselves. They know not cultivation. Yeah, most of Steiner is too dense, but knowledge of higher worlds was stuff like, if I meet a man and blame him for his shortcomings, I rob myself of higher knowledge, which helps you navigate. Yes. So, with Steiner, as I said, like, knowledge of higher worlds, that's, like, the main book. And you get outline of occult science, and then, like, intuition as a spiritual path. Also good, but knowledge of higher worlds is a solid book. That would be on my top 10 recommendations, okay? There. If only this one had more pills. Yeah, the disciples nowadays, they don't even cultivate anymore. They just take pills and spend time in tavern. Chase jade beauties. This will lead you to chi deviation. I'm weary of these ways. Let's keep going, guys. We went off on a massive tangent there about books. But yeah, look. You want to get into fourth way? Ouspensky, In Search of the Miraculous. Steiner? Knowledge of Higher Worlds. Evola, Hermetic Tradition. Gurdjieff, Views from the Real World, the set of his lectures, his early lectures. Dion Fortune is a fantastic place to start. Read Sane Occultism, and then just read all of her other theory books. It's great. Her novels, I lent her novel to someone once, and they were like, "This is fucking painful. I can't." And then that's The Sea Priestess, and I loved The Sea Priestess. I thought it was a fantastic comedy. Like, if you're into British humor, you will love Dion Fortune. She's so British. Like, you have no idea. Hermetic Tradition is a tough read, really? I mean, all of Evola's a tough read on a certain level because he's a bit of an elitist. Some people will try to talk to their audience, whereas Steiner is just like, you need to get on my level. Sorry, did I say Steiner? Well, Steiner's also kind of like that, but Evola's like, you need to get on my level. Hermetic Tradition also mogged me into depression. Really? Maybe we should do that in the stream next. I mean, also Introduction to Magic by Evola. Eliphas Levy's Transcendental Magic also has some stuff in the practical section where you can start doing ceremony there. We use the Conjuration of the Four and Conjuration of the Seven to set the scene and then do some stuff. Read Franz Barden's Initiation into Hermetics. It's a complete system of itself. I would recommend Golden Dawn stuff, but it's like, I would say just read John Michael Greer's, what is it, The Hermetic Circle? If you want to start Golden Dawn stuff, or even, like, I read some Israel Regardie, and I actually thought he was great. But it's like, I haven't, like, read a bunch of him. I know some people are really into him. Speaking of someone who started off reading Hermetic Trad, damn, okay. I mean, I read, like, Hermetic Tradition way late, so it wasn't my first book. And then there are other things, like, I'm in two minds nowadays about, like, the Dayspring of Youth. Just because I find it a bit too theosophical. Well, damn, Bias, that was your first? Oof. Big oof. Nothing more esoteric than lusty Agronian maid. Which way? Which way, son of Skyrim? Khajiit girlfriend or lusty Agronian maid? Franz Hartmann, With the Adepts. Another fantastic book that's a map. And also his other stuff technically has practical stuff in it. And also like, what is it? Mark Stavish. Egregors. Or Freemasonry is a Spiritual Path. Bruh. He also did some real alchemy, so his alchemy book's good as well. It's hard because some people... Do you want to become an operational occultist, or do you want, like, to achieve Chad Ascension? No Dunmer Dark Brotherhood bodies, damn. Yeah. I mean, Dark Elves. I mean, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. You need a Dark Elf mummy that calls you names. Tilvani Master Race. Oh, okay, we're degenerating, guys. We're degenerating. Let's finish this chapter of Manly P. Hall's Secret Teachings of All Ages before we start talking about our otherworldly fetishes. You know what makes me mad? Drow are not blue. They are dark-skinned. It's like obsidian black. Stop making them like periwinkle blue, okay? Horny artists? Make my drow black. Make sure my dark elves are as black as night. Give them red eyes. Give my drow purple eyes. Make them obsessed with spiders. Let's do this. Now, the ancients did not believe that spirituality made men either righteous or rational. Very interesting. But rather that righteousness and rationality made men spiritual. The mysteries taught that spiritual illumination was attained only by bringing the lower nature up to a certain standard of efficiency. And this is the problem. People don't want to bring the lower nature up to a certain level. They just want to bring stuff down or escape out of the lower nature. And it's like, no, you got to work that lower nature, baby. Work that lower nature. And purity, the mysteries were therefore established for the purpose of unfolding the nature of man according to certain fixed rules, which when faithfully followed, elevated the human consciousness to a point where it was capable of cognizing its own constitution and the true purpose of existence. This knowledge of how man's manifold constitution could be most quickly and most completely regenerated to the point of spiritual illumination constituted the secret or esoteric doctrine of antiquity. Certain apparently physical organs and centers are in reality the veins or sheaths of spiritual centers. So this is where like people put like the chakras over the endocrine glands and things like that. Yeah. What these were and how they could be unfolded was never revealed to the unregenerated. For the philosophers that once he understands the complete working of any system, a man may accomplish a prescribed end without being qualified to manipulate and control the effects which he has produced. And this is interesting because sometimes you read like rituals and they'll just randomly say like, you hide the secrets of this degree under your liver, and you're like, what? And it's like, there's symbolism with the different kind of organs in certain things like that. Richard is mad about accuracy, racial accuracy of goon material. It's important, okay? Which mysteries is P. Hall referring to when he says the mysteries? I assume he's just saying the ancient mysteries as if they were one thing. So unless we act, we are in a perpetual state of kunda buffering. I mean, I guess you could think about it like that. For this reason, long periods of probation were imposed, so that knowledge of how to become as the gods might remain the sole possession of the worthy. No, what he's basically saying is you need to clean your room. You need to make your bed, bucko, before you try to change the chakras. You can't have awakened kundalini and fully awakened chakras if your room is still unclean. So wash your penis, clean your room, make your bed, be righteous, and then spiritual development. That's what he's saying. That's what Manly's saying. Lest that knowledge be lost. However, it was concealed in allegories and myths, which were meaningless to the profane, but self-evident to those acquainted with that theory of personal redemption, which was the foundation of philosophical theology. Christianity itself may be cited as an example. The entire New Testament is in fact an ingeniously concealed exposition of the secret processes of human regeneration. The characters so long considered as historical men and women are really the personification of certain processes which take place in the human body when man begins the task of consciously liberating himself from the bondage of ignorance and death. Oh, did we have a little drop there for a second? You don't think attainment can occur if you're spiritually active, but disregard the physical, i.e. holy fools? Oh, also, hello, Nulu. Disregard the physical. What do you mean by that? Because when you say holy fools, you mean like the saints that leave and just go into the desert and study? It's like, well, I got news for you. Those guys were hard working tilling the ground, because when you live in those, what do you call them? I want to say like ashrams. I'm thinking too Eastern. When you live in the the monastery situation, the monastery is a world, is a microcosm in and of itself. You don't have the politics of daily life, but you definitely have internal monastery politics. Like, hold up. So when you say holy fools, what do you mean? Because there's a lot of people out there that like, I walk the path of the fool, and they're just retarded. I guarantee you a true fool has his body in order, because he does handstands, and he does flips, and he knows how to walk a tightrope, okay? Holy fools have worked their body. I'm looking over the Hermetic tradition. Apparently it's not even about the Corpus Hermeticum, but alchemy, yes. Esotericists can't even keep their terminology. No, alchemy is the Hermetic art, and his claim is that all of alchemy was an initiatic tradition, a complete system in and of itself. So you know how people like, I do alchemy, and when there's gaps, I put Kabbalah in or something, or I do ceremonial magic. He was like, no, alchemy itself was one system. And so he's just calling it the Hermetic tradition. Okay, Beale, you telling me Diogenes wasn't closer to attainment than most occultists today? It's a little bit different. Diogenes was a little bit different. I wonder if the people acquainted with the allegories of the occult were as schizo as numerology is today. Have you read Liber Null? No. No. That came out years ago, and I was like, and then I just never read it. Do you fuck with Grindmores, like Skinner and Rankine? A little bit of Rankine. I just don't have money. Like, I mean, if I had the freaking and time and like, there's some stuff I'd be doing with the Picatrix and the PGM if I had the time and space. But alas, I'm just like, since COVID, and like living in Australia, you just get raped by taxes, and I kind of just sitting and doing some internal alchemy is the best I can do nowadays. Disregarding things like hygiene, occupation, social status, not disregarding ways of manifesting spirit through discipline like labor and prayer. Disregarding things like hygiene, no, I disagree. You gotta be hygienic. This is the thing, they think like, I don't know, the people in frickin' ashrams and like the people who live in caves weren't hygienic. What do you mean by hygiene? Like, oh, they didn't have soap. Yeah, but there's a specific hygiene you go through, or else you just get diseases and stuff. How do you think they prevented themselves from getting diseases when living in isolation? There's like manuals of hygiene that Taoists write, and if you read them, it ceases to go from hygiene and starts to become like about like longevity and alchemy pretty quick. And they call them like, it's like Pythagoreanism was about this as well. It's like there's a doctrine of like hygiene, and hygiene is about mysticism. So it's like, yeah, you disregard social status, but like when you say hygiene, it's like, yeah, they weren't wearing makeup, but they had like, hygiene is important. I thought you were a Britbong. I mean, I like to make people like, I like to like mess with people about where I'm from, but like nowadays I just don't really care anymore, and I'm like, bruh. Just World War III, just end it all. Not that I'm advocating for that, lol, just theory. Yeah, no. People in ashrams, not even in the East. Ashyams. Lol. No baths. No baths, no maidens. But here's the thing, if you're in a desert, you still do sand baths. You still, like, there's still hygiene. Like, this thing of, like, it's like a disgruntled, gross guy. It's like, yeah, it's not that, okay? He's gonna smell like a dog, but he's not, like, diseased. There are definitely Buddhist masters who lived in isolation with a dog that would have smelt funky as fuck. But they weren't like diseased and sick from poor hygiene. The garments and ornamentations supposedly worn by the gods are also keys. For in the mysteries, clothing was considered as synonymous with form. The degree of spirituality or materiality of the organisms was signified by the quality, beauty, and value of the garments worn. Man's physical body was looked upon as the robe of his spiritual nature. Consequently, the more developed were his supersubstantial powers, the more glorious his apparel. Of course, clothing was originally worn for ornamentation rather than protection. And such practice still prevails among many primitive peoples. Yep, true. The mysteries caught that man's only lasting adornments were his virtues-based and worthy characteristics. Yeah, that's one of the things that like Christian pastors always like say to their kids is like, think of your most prized possessions. And now, like when you go to heaven, what are you going to take with you? And everyone's like, oh man, this guy's so deep. It's like when you go to heaven, you only take your virginity. And if you lose that, whoopsie. So yeah, your virtues are what you take with you. That he was clothed in is his own accomplishments and adornments by his attainments. Thus the white robe was symbolic of purity, the red robe of sacrifice and love, the blue robe of altruism and integrity. Tegrity. Welcome to Tegrity Farms. Since the body was said to be the robe of the spirit, mental, this is interesting actually. Mental or moral deformities were depicted as deformities of the body. Sometimes you see people talking about like they have dreams of a certain person coming to them and they wear a particular color shirt or something. I've always found that symbolic. Like, oh, I saw my dad and he passed away in here, and I was like, what color was his shirt? Blue, I think, was that? And it's like, oh, you'd be surprised. Considering man's body as the measuring rule of the universe, the philosophers declared that all things resemble in constitution, if not in form, the human body. The Greeks, for example, declared Delphi to be the navel of the earth, for the physical planet was looked upon as a gigantic human being, twisted into the form of a ball. Take that, flat earthers. In contradistinction to the belief of Christendom that the earth is an inanimate being, an inanimate thing, the pagans considered not only the earth, but also all the sidereal bodies as individual creatures possessing individual intelligences. They even went so far as to view the various kingdoms of nature as individual entities. The animal kingdom, for example, was looked upon as one being, a composite of all creatures composing that kingdom. What would that look like? This prototype beast was a mosaic embodiment of all animal propensities, and within its nature, the entire animal world existed as the human species existed within the constitution of the prototypic Adam. Hello. From Law's Figures of Jacoboam. So the divine tree in man. Once again, in Jakob Boehm's, it's the roots start in the heart. So in this first figure, just as the diagram represents, the front view of man illustrates his divine principles in their regenerated state. So the back view of the same figure set forth the interior or night condition of the sun from the sphere of the astral mind. A line ascends through the sphere of reason into that of the senses. The sphere of the astral mind and of the senses are filled with stars to signify the nocturnal condition of their natures. In the sphere of reason, the superior and inferior are reconciled. Reason in the mortal man corresponding to the illumined understanding in the spiritual man. A tree with its roots in the heart rises from the mirror of the deity through the sphere of understanding to branch forth in the sphere of the senses. The roots and trunk of this tree represent the divine nature of man and may be called his spirituality. The branches of the tree are separate parts of the divine constitution and may be likened to individuality, and the leaves, because of their ephemeral nature, correspond to the personality which partakes of none of the permanence of its divine source. Very interesting. The leaves, and what of the fruits, you say? What of the fruits? Spelled like a dog. It's called Aura, bro. That's funny. They should put a character like me in Housos. What's Housos? And here we come to the end. In the same manner, races, nations, tribes, religions, states, communities, and cities were viewed as composite entities. Each made up of varying numbers of individual units. Every community has an individuality, which is the sum of the individual attitudes of its inhabitants. Every religion is an individual whose body is made up of a hierarchy and vast host of individual worshippers. The organization of any religion represents its physical body, and its individual members the cell life making up this organism. Accordingly, religions, races, and communities, like individuals, pass through Shakespeare's 7 ages, or the life of man is a standard by which the perpetuity of all things is estimated. According to the secret doctrine, man, through the gradual refinement of his vehicles, and ever-increasing sensitiveness resulting from that refinement, is gradually overcoming the limitations of matter and is disentangling himself from the mortal coil. When humanity has completed its physical evolution, the empty shell of materiality left behind will be used by other life waves as stepping stones to their own liberation. The trend of man's evolutionary growth is ever toward his own essential selfhood, at the point of deepest materialism. Therefore, man is at the greatest distance from himself. According to the mystery teachings, not all spiritual nature of man incarnates in matter. The spirit of man is diagrammatically shown as an equilateral triangle, with one point downward. This lower point, which is 1/3 of the spiritual nature, but in comparison to the dignity of the other two is much less than 1/3, descends into the illusion of material existence for a brief space of time. That which never clothes itself in the sheath of matter is the hermetic anthropos, the overman, analogous to the Cyclops. This is interesting. The Cyclops is an interesting thing because you see it as something like a monster that's just killed, but it has a single eye in its forehead. It's one eye. It's one thing. And the Cyclops are also beings that help Vulcan forge things, and so there's this interesting thing with chthonic forging and Cyclopses, and, you know, it's there. The Cyclops, or guardian daemon of the Greeks, the angel of Jakob Boehm, the oversoul of Emerson. That unity, that oversoul within which every man's particular being is contained and made one with all other. Gay? No, I'm just kidding. So we have something within us that we connect with, and then that thing that which we connect with can align with the oversoul, with the world soul. But first we need to awaken the inner man before the inner man can align himself with the universal man. Capiche? This is amazing. Manly P. Hall is the greatest Canadian. Based. At birth, only a third part of the divine nature of man temporarily disassociates itself from its own immortality, and takes upon itself the dream of physical birth and existence, animating with its own celestial enthusiasm a vehicle composed of material elements, part of, and bound to, the material sphere. At death, this incarnated part awakens from the dream of physical existence and reunites itself once more with its eternal condition. This periodical descent of spirit into matter is termed the Wheel of Life and Death, and the principles involved are treated at length by the philosophers under the subject of metempsychosis. By initiation into the mysteries and a certain process known as operative theology based, this law of birth and death is transcended. That's what it's all about. And during the course of physical existence, that part of the spirit which is asleep in form is awakened without the intervention of death based, the inevitable initiator, and is consciously reunited with the anthropos, or the overshadowing substance of itself. This at once the primary purpose and the consummate achievement of the mysteries, that man shall become aware and of consciously being reunited with the divine source of himself without tasting physical dissolution. That's what it's all about, baby. Let's go. Let's go. So now that we have that down, the body is symbolism. It was a simple 30-minute read, right guys? Right guys? This was 30 minutes, right guys? We finished that quick. He gets into something right at the end there, about the transcendence of the cycle. Bro wrote this at 27. Yeah, I know, right? Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, it got published when he was like 27, 28, so he wrote it even earlier. And so it looks like, so at the end there, we had the transcendence of man. And now we're going to get into some secret Freemasonry stuff. Let's go. Let's go. We're saving this for next week for sure. What the hell? Oh yeah, I remember reading this. It's like, you know when like you only read random chapters of Manly P. Halls, and then when you go through it for reals, you're just like, whoa. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Okay. Now, before we end today's stream, before we finish me streaming all over your face, we must guess. What card am I holding? What card did I draw at the beginning of this stream? I wonder if you guys are going to get this one. I'm going to send it to you. Yes. Kimberly guessing the world, Adamu Devil, High Priestess. It's Major Arcana only, son of a bitch. Let me reconsider. Going Hierophant. Parker XP. Always late, huh? The Hanged Man, Jason Shaw. Strength, guessing our tuition. Okay. The Lovers? Either Devil or the Fool. Guess what, another guy? You're the only one who got it right. What made you guess the Fool? Were you just feeling the Lottom vibes today? Hey, Hexer. You're saying the Fool as well? That's pretty good. If that's 2 for 2. That's pretty good. First Arcana, guess what, son? This is Arcana 0. Always the Fool. I was thinking the Fool. Nice. Nice. Based. Based. Lady Justice guessing the Empress. A little bit late there. A little bit late. First Arcana is always the Magician. Sun. Now, that was a good read. We had some fun. We talked about Dark Elf gooning. See, Dark Elves are the more superior race. Are there any good? Is there any good literature with Dark Elves? I kind of want to read the Dritz cycle, but I got other things to read. Anyway, I'll see you all guys next week. Let's goon together next week over some Masonic mysteries. Drop some birds in the chat for Carl. He's judging us all for our gooning tastes. I'll see y'all next week.